Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. It feels good in a certain sense to say it that the search for Andre McDonald is officially over. We found her. Here a few minutes ago, we took Andre McDonald into custody for the offense of murder. He's been placed under arrest and is now, as we speak, at CID, speaking to deputies. Of course, forgive me, I'm also joined today by Special Agent in Charge of the San Antonio office of the FBI, Chris Combs, Special Agent in Charge Chris Combs. I'll be inviting him up here in just a little bit. But I do want to thank everybody for all their hard work in this case. All of our partners in this case, the FBI, Air Force OSI, the Bexar County District Attorney's Office, Samantha DeMaio, Melly Powers, Judge Philip Kazin, and of course District Attorney Joe Gonzalez himself, the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office for all of their hard work in this case. Just an army of volunteers, and of course the various units from within the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, CID, SWAT, the SCORE unit, the traffic unit, narcotics, covert operations. Everybody just did an outstanding job of working together in this case to get us to the point where we are today. As you all know, about 2 days ago, a body was found out on Speck Road, where that's out on the northern part of the county, where this is where the body was found just a couple days ago. As you all know, back around March 1st, when it was discovered that Andreen had come up missing, we concentrated our efforts very close to the house. This is where their house is, on Solitude Cove. We concentrated our efforts moving north, but at certain points in this search, we were out on Speck Road. Our mounted patrol unit spent quite a bit of time out there, as did this army of volunteers. But that area is where Andreen's body was ultimately found a couple days ago by a gentleman that was out walking that area looking for cow bones, and stumbled upon the remains of Andreen McDonald. That, of course, we didn't know that it was her at first. There was some speculation on our part as well, internally at least. But thankfully, the medical examiner, the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office, Dr. Molina, did an outstanding job of getting her ID'd as quickly as possible. Yesterday, we recovered those remains, and Dr. Molina went to work and was able to get her positively identified for us last night. We were able to finish up typing a warrant in the overnight hours. Our investigators worked almost through the night, and Andre was placed under arrest earlier today. I'd like to bring up Special Agent Charge Combs and have him say a few words as well.
Thank you, Sheriff. It's been a painful and long road for us to get to where we are today, and I'm glad that we were able to bring some closure to the victim's family. And I'd like to thank the Sheriff for the unbelievable job the Bexar County Sheriff's Office did on this, and for asking for the assistance from the FBI. We brought to bear some significant technical resources to work with the Sheriff's Office, from the FBI profilers that we have here in San Antonio to utilizing the profilers back at Quantico as well, to the FBI evidence teams that spent days meticulously going through all the cars associated with this case and turning the evidence found over to the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, and also utilizing our cellular and GPS experts to help the Sheriff's Office. It's a pleasure to work with the Sheriff's Office, and I think this is a statement to how we operate here in the city, where any resource that the FBI has will always be given to the Sheriff's Office to assist, to any of our state and local partners, and it's really through that partnership that we're able to bring these cases to conclusion. I commend the Sheriff's Office, the media, and the public for continuously keeping this case at the forefront, although it has been months since this poor woman was murdered. Law enforcement worked tirelessly. The media kept this story out there to engage the public, and the public kept searching and looking for this poor woman. And it's through that effort of the law enforcement, the media, and the public here in San Antonio that we were able to find this poor woman and to bring justice to bear. We still have a long road ahead of us. We still now have to work through prosecution through the District Attorney's Office. The FBI will continue to assist the Sheriff's Office in that prosecution, so we can bring this horrible thing to an end and let this woman rest in peace and let her family have some peace. Again, it's a pleasure working with the Sheriff, And at any moment, Sheriff, anything you need from the FBI will be yours. And it's just a great job that we're able to finally bring this to conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. We'll open it up to whatever questions you might have.
Can you talk about, did you have all the evidence you needed up to this point to make that arrest? Did you just need the body?
We had some excellent evidence that our CSI people, working in conjunction with the FBI and OSI, we had a fair amount of evidence. Now, from a law enforcement perspective, we never feel like we have enough. We always want more. We always want more. But quite honestly, yes, the body was one of the things that was missing for us, and so with these remains being found the other night, we were hopeful, certainly when the information came in, but as I mentioned that night, we've been down that road before where we were hoping that another case that we'd found was going to be Andreen, and indeed it was not. So we didn't want to get too excited about the findings, so we took it by the numbers. But yes, once we were able to positively identify her, that's what led us to go ahead and draw up the warrant, the arrest warrant for Andre for the murder, and we were able to execute that warrant today without incident at his home.
Can you talk about the cause of death?
Well, no. At right now, all we're listing it as is a homicide. But going into the exact nature of it it'd be just too soon to comment on that.
How was she identified? How was the medical examiner able to find out that this was Andreen?
My understanding is that it was dental records that allowed them to identify her very quickly. But just let's face it, they just do outstanding work there at the ME's office, and it was very quick. They realized that we wanted to get. If this was indeed her, we wanted to get Andre in custody and hold him responsible for this.
Did Andre say anything when you arrested him?
No, my understanding is, well, I was actually there when the arrest took place. He was actually very quiet with us and was fully cooperative. Now my understanding is he's making his way, he's at CID right now, but he'll be making his way to the Bexar County Jail here in just a few minutes. And my understanding is it's a $2 million bond with a bunch of conditions. Should he make bond, he'll have a bunch of conditions assigned to him as well.
What evidence specifically tied him to the murder? Can you talk about that?
Well, I wouldn't go too far into it. Of course, you all know that a few months ago we were able to get him under arrest for a tampering with evidence charge. What led to that tampering with evidence is the fact that there were so many things that to us seemed consistent with somebody trying to dispose of a body. And then the evidence that he'd bought those, namely a receipt, was destroyed. He went to great lengths to destroy that receipt. We were able to recover it, but that's what led to the tampering with evidence charge. So I think a lot of his behavior up to this point, along with some of the evidence that I won't go too much into detail on, are what led to this charge.
Can you talk more about the body, the remains found, I know you said bleach. Can you talk more about what else was found there?
So they were found very near some animal bones that were already there. Now the information that we have is that those animal bones, that animal was known to have died at some point in February prior to Andreen passing away. The gentleman that found Andreen ultimately knew that dead animal was there, so that had happened. I don't think that was related, but those bones were found very near Andreen's bones. And as I mentioned yesterday, Andreen's remains did show they were very consistent with having been out there in the blazing sun for several months. I think we counted up in excess of 130 days that she was out there. And the evidence that we found, the condition of the remains was quite consistent with that.
Do you think he acted alone?
At this point, we do. I wouldn't rule anything out at this point, but for right now, we're acting on the premise that he acted alone.
Is there a motive?
No, at this point, we don't have any motive to speak of that we would care to part with, of course, or to speculate on. To be honest with you.
Does his daughter know about what happened, that he's a suspect?
So at this point, I don't know how much the little girl knows. Certainly we've got to be careful with what we tell her and how she's told. The little girl, as we've said before, is on the autism spectrum. For the most part, she's nonverbal. which does present its own challenges. I'm still of the belief, I've said this before, and I'm still of the belief that this little girl witnessed at least some things in connection with the death of her mom. And so we've got to be very careful with how we talk to her and what we tell her. So we're going to err on the side of not telling her as much.
Are you guys investigating Sharon Hilton by any chance?
I wouldn't go,
Connection to this?
I wouldn't go into any names of anybody else under investigation, sir.
Was anything else found at the scene? I know that you said it was part of the body, not a full body, but you guys were also gonna search around to try to see if there was any evidence in the property.
So I will tell you this, that of the body that was there, some of the concern was that I talked about yesterday was that, as is normal with a body that's been exposed to the elements, many times the body doesn't stay intact. The connective tissues, to get a little graphic, connective tissues dissolve or deteriorate, and then many times wild animals will play a role in scattering the remains. There seemed to be a little evidence of that with regard to this case, and there was a concern yesterday that due to that, plus the very high grass out there, I was not sure that we were going to recover enough of the remains. I can tell you definitively, we got the vast majority of the remains collected. That right there is a testament to the evidence gathering and investigative abilities of our detectives that were out there on scene, along with our partners in law enforcement that helped out. And they were not done out there until they were satisfied that we'd gotten absolutely as far as we could go. I sang their praises yesterday. I'm going to do it again. I'm just completely as proud as I can be of my folks and the way they handled this case, like the true professionals that they are. And it's this type of work, without over glorifying it, is an art. It's an art form. If somebody's involved to this extent in CSI evidence gathering work, it's an art form. And these folks are the consummate professionals, and they take it as such. And they're always working to hone that craft. They're always working, and I do my best to get them all the equipment that they could possibly need. And we were using every bit of that equipment and every bit of that skill that they possess yesterday. And it pays off. This is a quality case. I'm happy to be able to report this and happy to be able to give some closure to Andrine's family for certain. And now we begin the process of preparing this case to go to trial with the DA's office. We're absolutely not going to rest until we've completely brought Andre and anybody else that may be involved to justice.
Is there anything else that you need, anything that you're missing to really seal this case? Do you have any need for the public, any more help?
Well, certainly anything that anybody might have that's additional information that could possibly help, we'd still welcome a call, 210-335-6070, or they can send us information at bcsotips@bear.org. Those numbers work for this case or any other involving violence against another. That's our homicide unit. So certainly, yes, any information that anybody feels would be relevant, we wouldn't mind hearing from them at all.
Can you take us to the point where he was arrested? What was he doing? Did they have to breach into the house?
Well, he was actually there at the residence as we expected. He's been on GPS monitoring ever since we arrested him for the tampering with evidence, and so we were able to place a call and have him step out of the house where one of our takedown teams took him down. We had surveillance on the house for some time, and so we were confident that he was there. It was just a matter of, was he going to come out willingly? And he did, and they were able to take him into custody. Our deputies were geared up. As I mentioned, we make sure that they're equipped with the best equipment that they can possibly get. They were geared up and they were ready in case he didn't come along willingly. But thankfully, he gave up peacefully and without incident, and so we were able to bring him in.
Was anybody else in the house?
No, I don't believe anybody else was there.
How'd you get him to come out?
We placed a call and asked him to step out of the residence.
Okay.
Spanish? No.
Can I ask one more question? Was there any evidence that you guys have found of infidelity in this relationship?
Well, I wouldn't go too much into detail on their relationship, the nature of their relationship. What we do believe and have strong evidence to indicate is that Andre McDonald killed his wife. Beyond that, I wouldn't care to go too much into motive on that. Sure. Hace unos 2 días, un cuerpo fue encontrado en Speck Road, en el norte del condado. Anoche el médico del condado Béjar nos ayudó a identificar ese cuerpo como Andre McDonald, una mujer que nosotros hemos estado buscando desde el primer día de marzo, cuando ella fue desaparecida. Nosotros hemos conductado una búsqueda extensiva por varios meses, pero ya cuando ellos nos dieron esa información que este cuerpo era el de Andre McDonald, nosotros aplicamos y sacamos una orden de arresto para Andre McDonald, el esposo de Andre. Y esta tarde, oficiales con el departamento del sheriff del condado Béjar y otras agencias trabajamos juntos con nuestro equipo SWAT para arrestar a Andre McDonald por el homicidio de Andre McDonald. Andre McDonald va a ser encarcelado aquí en la cárcel del condado Béjar y por $2 millones que un juez dijo con otras condiciones antes de que él se pueda sacar de la cárcel. A nosotros nos da mucho orgullo y les damos las gracias a nuestros compañeros de otras agencias que nos han ayudado y también miembros del público que nos han ayudado con este caso. Y ojalá vamos a seguir trabajando en este caso con nuestros socios de las otras agencias, el FBI, DPS, el District Attorney del condado Béjar y otras agencias que nos están ayudando. Les damos las gracias y vamos a seguir trabajando en este caso. Yes, sir.
So, the gentleman that